Hello everyone, welcome to the pilot podcast of Detox. I'm Kashyap Mawadi, the founder CEO of Dinero AI. In this series of discussions with young entrepreneurs, we'd like to know more about their journey, about how they started their business, and along the way, understand their struggles with personal finance. In our culture, it's almost a hush hush to talk about money, it's almost a taboo. So, our attempt here is to try and make the discussion very casual and normalize it. So, here we are, Detox with Detox. On our first episode, we have Ms. Tanisha Varalwar, the founder CEO of Sara Cosmetics. Thank you for coming on the show. Sara Cosmetics is a young organic cosmetics brand from Hyderabad, and let's know more about that from Tanisha and about her journey. So, tell us about something about the brand first, a quick introduction.
So basically about Sara, we launched the brand last year in June, but I personally have been working around the whole idea since my undergraduate days back in 2017. I think the whole idea was to basically, start an organic makeup line with the market filled with organic skincare, hair care, personal care. I think makeup was something that was still, organic makeup was something that was still a gap in the market. So that is when, I graduated from my college and I met up with a team of, research and developers. It wasn't an easy journey, guys, but yeah, I mean, finally today here we are, launched our first product, working on our second. It's been a good journey.
Okay,
So
we'll touch upon all those aspects in a little bit. So let's go back a few years, a lot of years behind. How were you like a kid? What was your childhood like? For your initial influences?
My childhood was filled with a lot of connection with my family, I would say. Whether it was, a bunch of my cousins or my mom, my dad, and their siblings. So there was always a very deep rooted family and culture embedded in me. But yeah, I think on the entrepreneurial side, my dad, my granddad, they've been entrepreneurs themselves. And I think that somewhat came, to me as well, or my sister. So I think that was something we were never afraid of to begin with. I think that did kind of, push me into thinking out of the box and actually, risking it all, like you say, to go ahead and start my entrepreneurial journey. And thankfully, they've always encouraged me. So, yeah.
Actually, that's great, right? Because we see nowadays that there's a lot of talk about women empowerment and those kinds of topics.
Yeah.
So, kudos to your parents and the family for giving you an opportunity and making you sort of motivated to aspire and achieve whatever you wanted to do, right?
Yes.
So yeah, and so let's fast forward a little bit. You're an engineer, right? Like I'm also an engineer.
Yeah.
Most of us in India are
We're pretty
engineers.
much from the same college.
So you studied in Dubai.
Yeah, I was in the BITS Pilani Dubai campus.
Okay,
Yes.
how was that like? Did you like it, or like most of us, not really enjoyed engineering? And
I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy. Of course, Dubai is a place where you're meant to enjoy. But yeah, I did kind of, choose to do chemical engineering only because of my family business, which is a pharmaceutical company. But yeah, only once I went there and experienced Dubai, and beauty market is huge in Dubai, which somewhat brought out the whole passion for beauty in me. Since I was like 18, I would learn makeup myself, and because I had prior knowledge of how chemicals work, ingredients work, I kind of knew what went into each product, or I kind of understood a little more. So I think, yeah, in a way, I would say it was one of the changing points for me to be able to go there and realize my passion and come back and start all this. Yeah, all in all, it has been a good journey. I miss Dubai. But yeah, I think all of us miss our undergraduate days.
So I think you're one of those rare cases where your engineering degree was of help to you, right?
I don't know, maybe 50-50. But yeah, I wasn't like a topper in my engineering college either. But yeah, pretty much related to what I should have done. I think that would have been the case either way. Yeah.
So coming back to Sara, like how,
Yeah.
where did the idea stem from? How did you want to like, how did you make the final decision to say, hey, I want to pursue this and want to do something in this space? What was the turning point?
So I think, yeah, that was also, going back to my college days. I think pretty much in my third year when I was, 21 years old. That is when, there were a lot of brands coming up, whether it was in the US or India. All over the world, I think beauty market was booming around that time. And I always knew I was passionate about it. And I don't know, it's just one night it just came to me that maybe I should have a brand of my own. And I think I always kind of wanted to do something on my own. So things just work on my terms most of the time. But yeah, thankfully I did kind of, figure out what my passion was about. And yeah, since then it has been a very, very long journey. I think deciding or getting an idea is easier than going ahead and executing
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
Which is
Completely
where
agree.
there's a lot of gap between an entrepreneur and a non-entrepreneur. I think everybody gets ideas during college, but execution is
Execution is
something that sets you apart to
true.
begin with,
Absolutely
at
true.
least. Yeah.
Absolutely true. So, just I mean, sort of going into Sara, you spent sort of 3 years in R&D, right? Incubating the product, doing a lot of test trials. I know because I've been sort of associated, discussing with you. How was that like during the struggle period before you launched? How did you manage your personal finances, and how was that like? Because from the outside, it looks like a scary thing to do, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are two things to the coin, honestly. One is, of course, what will people say, and one is, actually going and seeking funds. For me, yeah, I did have a few savings to at least go ahead and fund my research and development, and my family was also of great help for me. But I think there are a lot of people who probably don't have that kind of background. But yeah, in this case, I do consider myself lucky enough, to be able to get that initial financial support that made it a little more easier for me.
Right. So one of the, I think you did a lot of trials, right? But in
Yeah.
one of the last trials that you did, and you wanted to scale up the
Yeah.
batches, and that didn't work out in your favor. How was that like?
So I think all in all, the whole R&D process was a bit challenging because, organic and then using a makeup and trying to get both these things together is not, on the technical side also, it's not a very easy process. So yeah, I did kind of, we did our research, 2.5 years we were working on it, and finally, when I thought my product was good enough to launch, and we went for manufacturing, it kind of all came crashing down. And I think that was that is one of the testing points for me, at least, as an entrepreneur. And it was a point where I could, like, give up and go back and join my family business, or continue. But again, I think my family played a major role in just trying to tell me that things happen, and because they've also experienced things like this before, they always told me, it does not matter. Yeah, it's a part of the game, and there are more things to come. This is nothing. So yeah, they always tried to show me the positive side of the coin, and for that matter, I think I had a conversation with you also around that time. And when I told you about trying to give up your you were not even allowing me to ask you that question. So I think, yeah, I mean, people like my family, my friends, everybody was pretty supportive, and I did kind of go back to our lab, reworked on it, and finally last year beginning, I think our batch was successful and we launched. But honestly, after we launched, the kind of,
There you launched in the midst of a pandemic, right? How was
yeah,
that like?
yeah. I mean, I guess it's just fate because my first batch was meant to, launch in 2019 September, and I guess I was just meant to launch during the COVID-19. Um,
And that too, you're launching a lipstick product when
yeah,
people were wearing masks. That is something
exactly.
I was also not sure about, but you took the call
Yeah.
finally.
But yeah, honestly, like you said, I think I had a lot of people, like June-ish when we launched, I had a lot of people call me and tell me that, are you sure you want to launch now? Do you want to launch it next year? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Because people may or may not use makeup
Yeah.
anymore. But for me, I always saw the other side where people were online more than ever, including me. I was shopping more than ever. I was wanting to go buy more than ever just because you were unable to.
Right.
So I
Right.
think that demand kind of increased more and more irrespective. And I think for people who love makeup, it does not matter what time, date, or what time of the year it is. So yeah, I don't think that was ever a point of question for me because honestly, we've worked for so long. I don't think I would have wanted to extend our launch any longer.
Congratulations on that.
Thank
And you have
you.
a long way to go on that journey.
Yeah.
So wish you all the luck. So now coming to a little bit, let's talk about personal finance in general, right? Like we all have a spending habits. Like
Yes.
what is your guilty pleasure?
Yeah, I think being in a place like Dubai during my formating years, I did kind of get influenced into buying shoes, bags, everything fashion and beauty. I was a huge hoarder of beauty, but I think also staying away from family, staying alone, kind of did also kind of help me. Learn my finances, made sure I spent, within my limits, within the, particular budget I was told. I think that part is something a lot of, younger students kind of tend to experience. And I think that's one of the first experiences you get in terms of managing your own
Yeah,
finances.
true.
Yeah, so that kind of helped me, and till today I make sure I'm spending wisely. Not always, I do have my own guilty pleasures, but yeah, even if say I want to spend on something, say a bag or a shoe, I do kind of save it up, whether it's my birthday money or something my parents gave or anything. I do save it up and buy on something that's actually valuable. That is something I've always
Okay.
made it very clear. This for me is valuable, so I'm going to save it up to buy for this. So I remember that, I've saved up so much, so I better make use of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So I'm sure your sister must be laughing listening to this.
I think my whole family, honestly, but they do also know that I do like kind of manage and I don't go bizarre
Yeah.
shopping. So.
So what's the end game for Sarah and what's the end game for you?
I don't think there's any end game. It's just the beginning. It's always the beginning. There's always a new beginning, honestly. And yeah, I mean, taking risks is everything. And I mean, I personally feel like not taking risk is the biggest risk you can take. So I honestly, every entrepreneur out there, what I would like to tell is take the risk, take the leap of faith. For that matter, even you with Dinner AI, the fact that you could leave such a glowing career behind you and start this, I think that's something very inspiring from your side as well. And there are ups and downs. There's no like, I've reached a particular success.
Yeah.
There's always more to seek for.
Absolutely.
As far as Sarah's concerned, yeah, I mean, we are still at a very baby stage, I would say. People are yet to know about our brand. More and more people are getting to know about our brand, and we're launching more products. And yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, it's about making an honest product and being honest in the ways of marketing. So, yeah, that's pretty much the principle I'd like to keep throughout the life of me working for Sarah, at least.
So what were the challenges of bootstrapping your own company?
So bootstrapping is, essentially we were, reinvesting our internal cash flow into growth of our products or marketing our products. But I think often the kind of issues we are facing right now is to be able to grow in a timely manner, to be able to launch our products in a timely manner, because you're either able to fund the existing product and its marketing or growing your
Right.
team, or you have to fund in acquiring a new
R&D.
customer. So there's always a point of priority that you have to choose, and of course you have to be penny wise, but at the same time you can't be pound foolish since it's beauty industry. So yeah, I think that is still always a challenge, and you may not always get the kind of growth at the rate you're expecting. But yeah, it's always good to fund the company by itself. You get to take your own decisions, and
Yeah.
you get to choose how the company goes ahead. But at the same time, I think seeking external investments is also not always a bad idea. But I think the timing of it is essential.
timing
Yeah,
is the key.
to know when you are ready to get an external investor in, when you're open to ideas, because
Yeah.
I think as an entrepreneur, we're all very possessive about our brand and the company. But yeah, I think as I'm growing, I'm growing to understand that you need to put what's good for your brand before what's good for you. So I always try to think in that point of view, and trying to take the best decisions for our brand.
That's a very
Yeah.
well-known dilemma for an
Yes.
entrepreneur, when to
Yes.
actually raise funds and go for
Yeah.
scaling. So what are some of the advices you got which were very annoying? It is very common in the Indian culture, right? People try to give free advice. So what was that for you?
So I think just like talking about finances is a taboo for a large part of Indian market. Trying to go out there, putting makeup, looking good is also it's perceived in the wrong sense most of the times. So when I started and I told people I'm going to make lipsticks, that is what people would call me. There was always it was not a factor that was taken seriously. Large part of the male part of the society kind of did give me advices about there are so many products out there, and honestly, I think it's all about making your own market rather than going and capturing a part of a market. You make your own product different, you create your own audience. So I think advices on how which market and which how much of the market are you going to acquire, and all those questions that kept coming at me. And I think because our R&D process took so long, there were always questions about when you're going to launch, when you're going to launch. And I thought when I launched, people are going to stop, but that was definitely not the case. And now
always
I
find
have
something.
questions about when is the second launch? What are you going to do next? You need to do fast. So I think there's something people always have to say about anything you do. As long as you believe in your ideologies, I don't think any such advices should matter. Yeah.
I have a couple of trick questions for you, and let's see
Okay.
what you choose amongst them. So it's a would you rather game, you know that,
Okay.
right? This or
Yeah.
that. Would you rather live the rest of your life financially comfortable, or live 20 years like a millionaire and then be poor afterwards?
That's a good question. I think financially comfortable, but I'm a wrong person to ask that question because I'm an entrepreneur. So I don't think I'll ever be completely financially comfortable. But yeah, that's always the aim, rather than
Maybe be
having extremes of lives. I don't think that's something
or
I would
millionaire
do.
for a lifetime. Why not?
Yeah, millionaire for a lifetime is
For
always
sure.
an option.
Yeah, the next one is this is more about how India perceives status as a game, right? So, would you want to be poor but everybody thinks you're rich, or would you want to be rich but everybody thinks you're poor?
That's a good question. I think I'd be rich and everybody considers me poor because
Doesn't matter.
yeah,
right?
in a way, there are no expectations, right?
Yeah, true.
So yeah, good for me.
Good for you. Yeah, great. So that was the section. Thank you, Tanisha, for being on the show. It was great talking to you. Some great insights for all of us.
Thank you, Kashyap, actually, for having me. And I honestly feel like if I had somebody who was so openly talking about finances back when I started, it would have been so much more helpful. And it's great that you took this initiative to talk to every entrepreneur or even, an employee for that matter. I think it matters for everybody to be able to plan their finances. And I hope with your app and your startup, you'll be able to change how people perceive finances to be. And I think one of the first things that intrigued me when you came up with the idea was that, yeah, finance is considered a taboo. Like talking about finance is considered a taboo, and being financially well off is also considered, pretty much something, oh, he must be doing something to be able to be rich enough. It's never considered as a good thing or positively. It's never
Right.
taken positively. So yeah, I mean, amazing initiative, and I'm happy to be here today and had a great conversation.
Thank you, Tanisha. Thank you for being on the show. Some great insights for our listeners. So, to all our listeners and viewers on the other side, thank you for tuning into the first episode of Detox. We're just getting started. We'll have a lot more entrepreneurs and we'll have these open discussions with them. Apart from this, we're also going to give out valuable information to help you handle your finances better. So, follow our social media pages for more information and stay tuned for the next episode of Detox.